Hi guys, it's Chantel with Wild Berry Quilting, and today we're going to be doing the sew along for the Strippy Zipper Pouch Kit that came in our Sew Sampler kit. Let's get started. All right, so the first step is we need to cut this apart. It had 4 pieces, and I haven't really trimmed it up on the sides. I've left it to where I can trim it up at the end. And we've got pieces 1 and our 2 pieces. We're going to lay this down over the top of where it says 1, and we're going to take our number 2 and lay it over where it says, also where it says 1, we're going to lay it over the top. This is not our stitch line here. This is where we're going to line up our fabric instead. I'm going to start just a little bit past where the lines actually start. And I'm just going to stitch it down. And again, I'm going to come past the line some. We can do the same thing to our piece B, which looks basically identical to this one. And this way, if we are doing both at the same time, we can make sure that we are going in the correct order and not get confused as to which fabrics we are laying down. Same 2 fabrics I had already. And this is just doing the exact same thing that we did on for the other piece. This is going to attach the same way as we did the other one. And as you can see, the 10 piece is actually in 2 pieces here. Don't worry about that yet. We're just going to stitch it right over the top. Just make sure everything is laying nice and flat. Okay, so I thought I was recording, but apparently I did not hit the record button. I finished out the lining pieces, which were constructed the same way that our outside pieces were. They just don't match because with the jolly bars, you need a full-size jolly bar piece for each of these panels. So the inside of your lining, or your lining pieces, will not be identical like your outside pieces are. So now this is where things get a little bit confusing. We have our outside piece A, and we have our lining piece A. We're all pressed up and ready to go, and we are going to lay our pieces over the top of each other. Just make sure that we are within these lines. And then I'm going to check it on the other side and make sure that I am within the lines. We are going to be following the lines on our outside piece, not our lining piece. Just make sure that you are within what is stitched though. That's the important part. This dotted line here, not our outside solid line, but the inside dotted line, we are going to sew on. Not across the top though, just across these funky sides, the bottom, and the funky side on the other side of it. And again, you can start above this. It doesn't have to be starting right on your dotted line. constructing the B pieces, we are going to trim all around on that long unbroken line. All right, we have trimmed all of this down and we have cut into our corners. Now what we have left to do is to trim these edges. Now normally I have a trick that works better than trimming these edges to get even, nice pointy, nice crisp points. But since we have so many of these and they are kind of at strange angles, I am going to trim these rather than my usual method, just because I think it would be difficult to get in here onto these points for the way I normally do it. All right, now we are going to turn all of this inside right, which we may need a point turner for. Yeah, I definitely think we need a point turner. All right, so I have turned everything and I've pressed it, and I am ready to move to the next step, which is putting our right sides together. And then we are going to add a seam right along the bottom. Now this is a lot of layers to sew through, so just go slow and gentle with your machine. At least until you get it started. We are going to be sewing together our strap. I've already pressed it in half and then pressed in the edges. And I'm going to sew this 1/8 of an inch in on both sides. The directions only tell you to sew on one side to close up the strap, but I find that it gives you a better look anytime you're doing straps if you sew it along both of the edges. So that is what I'm going to choose to do here. It just looks a little bit more professional, and it also adds a little bit more stability. All right, so now we are ready to sew our zipper at this point. I'm going to turn this, and we want to make sure that our zipper is going to be facing the right way up. And we're going to enclose one edge of our top within this zipper. All right, I'm actually going to use this hem tape, and you can just cut this into pieces and lay it across. I think 3 pieces going across here would probably be enough to do it, so that's what I'm going to go with. And you just lay it down and then peel off the backing, which might help if you have a little pin to score it with and get that backing piece off, just like that. And then you can go across and do one more. All right, so I've got that laying down. You could also press over the top of this, and that will really help that tape to lay down flat. Just be careful not to iron over the top of your zipper teeth. So let's stitch this down. And it does say to stay close to the edge of your zipper tape. So I am stitching 1/8 of an inch away. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to make sure that this opens the way I want it to. All right, so I'm not exactly sure how I got confused on this, but I got 2 of the instructions reversed and I sewed together this bottom portion before I sewed the zipper on. And don't do that. It makes it very difficult to put that zipper on. I managed to power through it, but because I did it this way, I will not be adding those additional strips of fabric along the side to embellish the zipper because it's just too difficult to be able to get into this narrow channel and sew along here. So it's just going to be a nice white contrasting zipper. So we need to stitch the ends of our zipper closed now to make sure that it's not going to come apart on us. And I've got one end done. I'm going to do the other now. And you can clip this together if you think it'll help you. There's nothing wrong with that. It is going to be a little bit wobbly. And anytime you're sewing through a zipper like this, you really need to be careful with your needle. This is a nylon zipper, so our needle should be able to handle sewing through it. But I do recommend at the end of this project going through and changing your needle before you go on to your next project, because it will do a little bit of work on your needle having sewn through a zipper. So at this point, you have flipped your bag back inside out, and you will flip this bottom piece back and take your little tab piece and attach it here, which I have already done. Now we are going to take these pieces and attach them like so. And yes, you will notice that I have an extra 1/4 of an inch on both sides. That is because I was not sure that I should trim off the top portion when I did that, and I didn't. So we're just gonna roll with it and see if we can make this bag turn out anyways. Even though I have completely taken this project off the rails. This is so thick here. It's bulky. I don't know how they expect you to sew through all that. And that part is them. That's not me doing anything wrong. That's just them having that piece be extremely bulky. Now don't sew over your zipper. Definitely pull that. You don't want it in the way and then sewing over it. So if ever there was a question whether I am a bag maker, this should answer that question. I definitely am not. This is not my forte. You would think if you can sew clothes and you can sew quilts, that why not? Of course you can sew bags as well. That is simply not the case. It just isn't. It's not for everyone. Evidently. See, now this is showing an angle, and there is no angle there. I know they are taking pieces and attaching perhaps like this. I guess that's how we're doing it. Okay. I'm going to roll with that. This is just that extra little bit that I should have trimmed out that I didn't. I'm going to pretend it isn't there. I'm going to flatten this out and I'm just going to stitch along and cross my fingers. That was some bulky seam. All right. There's this large area right here where I just completely skipped over because my machine was not having it. It looks even worse from the back. I can stick my finger right underneath there. Oh, goodness. Let's turn this mess inside right and see if we even ended up with something usable in the end. All right, guys. So that's our Sew Zippy pouch. I think that's what it was called. And it actually came out really, really cute. My daughter already has it completely stuffed with all kinds of things. She's got these Copic-like markers and pencils. And I think she said there's a whole box of crayons in here as well. So she can fit a lot in here and she's very excited about it. Thinking, oh, this would be great. Up until about step 10 or 11, I think. And I made one mistake and then I was like, oh no. And some of those seams are pretty bulky. I'm not entirely sure that this is the most effective way to put together one of these little box pouches. Not convinced, but it did turn out really cute and it should hold up well and she's satisfied with it. So that's all that matters. You can see it even has, it's lined, which is nice. I don't think I want to do another one like this. If I do another boxed pouch like this, it's not going to be this pattern because I didn't enjoy putting it together. Other than that, I do like the finished product though, and I think it came out really super cute, and I kind of wish I had one for myself. But she's thrilled, so that's all that matters. All right, thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this sew along, please hit the like and subscribe button, and then you'll know the next time I post one. All right, talk to you later. Bye.